Landman is set deep in the heart of West Texas, a place known for big skies, rough landscapes, and an even rougher business, the oil industry. The show is built around the world of landmen, dealmakers who negotiate oil rights and handle the ISA, gritty politics of drilling, profit, and land ownership. It's a world driven by power, where the stakes are sky high and the rules are mostly written by men who've been in control for generations. This isn't just a fictional setup. Taylor Sheridan, the creator of Landman, is known for building shows around real struggles hidden inside iconic American settings. With shows like Yellowstone, 1883, and Mayor of Kingstown, he's shown us the raw side of ranch life, law enforcement, and small-town survival. In Landman, Sheridan turns his lens toward the energy business, one of the richest, most male-dominated industries in America. The series doesn't waste time showing just how harsh this environment can be. From boardrooms full of fast-talking executives to dusty oil fields filled with hardened workers, Landman paints a world where success often comes with a cost. People are ambitious, cutthroat, and ready to cross lines for a shot at wealth. Deals are made behind closed doors, and the tension between old money and new business creates a storm waiting to explode. In this setting, it's easy to see how a woman, especially one who speaks her mind, might be seen as a threat. But that's exactly why the story stands out. The show doesn't only focus on the fight for oil and land, it also focuses on the people caught in the middle of it, especially women. In a world where masculinity dominates nearly every conversation, a single female voice becomes louder and more important than ever. She's not just there to fill space in a man's world. She's there to challenge it, to push back, and to carve out a place where she belongs. What makes this even more powerful is that it's grounded in truth. Women in real-life oil towns and corporate offices across the country have shared similar experiences. They walk into rooms filled with men, get interrupted mid-sentence, or find themselves being tested twice as hard just to be seen as equal. Sheridan's show doesn't try to sugarcoat that reality. Instead, it puts it right on the screen. The environment in Landman is gritty, fast-paced, and full of power plays. Deals are done with handshakes that feel more like warnings. Loyalty is rare. Greed is everywhere. And in the middle of this storm is a female character who has to prove herself every single day, not just to survive, but to change the game. We see early on that this character isn't someone who backs down. She walks into meetings with confidence. She doesn't let harsh words shake her. And when others try to ignore her or talk over her, she pushes back, not with shouting, but with sharp thinking and stronger ideas. It's not just about fighting sexism directly. It's about surviving in a world that's been built to keep voices like hers out. This is what makes Landman more than just another drama. It's not just telling a story about land and oil. It's telling a story about how difficult it is to find your place when the system was never built for you. And it's asking the audience to see the world not just from the eyes of the usual power players, but from someone who has to fight for every bit of space she claims. By placing a strong, smart, and underestimated woman in the heart of this brutal world, Landman opens the door for a bigger conversation, one that goes beyond oil fields and into everyday life. And it all starts with understanding the kind of world she has to survive in. In Landman, the battle for power doesn't just take place in boardrooms or oil fields. It happens in the quiet spaces, in the looks, the comments, and the small moments that many might overlook, but are felt deeply by those on the receiving end. The show doesn't shy away from the everyday sexism that women face, whether it's in the workplace, at home, or in social settings. It's in the way men interrupt, belittle, or ignore their female counterparts, and the way women, time and time again, have to prove they belong in the conversation. Sexism is one of the show's central themes, but it's not always the loud, obvious kind. It's in the subtler moments, the underestimation, the assumption that a woman can't possibly understand or contribute to the hard-nosed world of land deals and oil drilling. This is where Landman finds its most compelling moments, showing how a woman, in an industry built for men, has to not only play by their rules, but also fight against them in order to be seen as an equal. One of the ways the show presents this is through the lead character's journey. When she walks into a room filled with men, whether it's a boardroom full of executives or a group of oil workers on site, there's an immediate sense that her presence is questioned. There's the unspoken assumption that she's out of her way. Depth, that she doesn't belong. The reactions from the men around her are predictable. Some try to mansplain things to her, assuming she doesn't know the basics of the business. Others make dismissive comments, not taking her seriously simply because she's a woman in a man's world. This is where Landman does something important. Instead of shying away from these uncomfortable truths, it puts them front and center, showing the audience how often these subtle acts of sexism occur and how deeply ingrained they are in certain industries and cultures. But what the show does next is just as important. It shows how the character pushes back against it. Rather than being overwhelmed by these moments, the character uses them as fuel. She refuses to let the dismissive behavior or underestimation stop her. Every time someone doubts her, she proves them wrong with her expertise, intelligence, and resilience. This is a critical part of her evolution throughout the series. She doesn't just learn how to survive in a world built to reject her, she learns how to thrive in it, and she does so by quietly showing that she has every right to be there. In one key moment, the character is in a meeting with a group of men who believe they can steamroll over her opinion. As one of the men starts to talk over her, she doesn't shout or get angry. Instead, she calmly waits for him to finish, then calmly delivers her point, stronger, more concise, and more impactful than any of the others in the room. The message is clear. She's not going to fight them on their terms. She's going to beat them on hers. This is the subtle brilliance of Landman. It understands that sexism often isn't about one big, obvious confrontation. It's the 1,000 little cuts that women face every day. And what the show does is highlight those moments, allowing the character to navigate them with grace and intellect. It's a reflection of what so many women experience in real life, constantly having to prove themselves, to overcome barriers that shouldn't exist, and to push back against the pressure to conform to expectations that were never meant for them. But there's also a larger cultural conversation happening in Landman. The show reflects a shift in the entertainment industry as a whole. Women are no longer just sidekicks or supporting characters in a world of powerful men. They're the protagonists. They're the ones pushing back, calling the shots, and breaking down barriers. And that shift is something audiences are starting to notice, not just in TV, but in real life too. In interviews, the actress behind the role explained that this theme of overcoming ingrained sexism was something she connected with deeply. She spoke about how she, too, has faced similar challenges throughout her career, whether it's being underestimated in her early roles or navigating a male-dominated industry. She believes that by portraying a character who navigates this struggle, she's able to bring attention to a larger issue that affects women everywhere. It's not just about showing a female character who is tough. It's about showing a female character who is smart enough to outthink the system, brave enough to stand her ground, and strong enough to keep pushing forward. And it's working. The conversations surrounding Landman are starting to focus not just on the story, but on the messages it's sending about gender dynamics, power, and the changing role of women in traditionally male-dominated spaces. The show isn't just telling a compelling story. It's starting a conversation, one that many viewers can relate to and many more can learn from.